Hello people, and welcome back to part 35 of Noveria, our vanilla Cities Skylines snow build. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. And thank you for all the patience and support during my little hiatus. I had a little break, and then actually got sick when I got back, so we're away for a little bit longer than I initially planned. But we are back nonetheless in Noveria, and isn't it wonderful to be back? I've really missed playing Cities Skylines, so yeah, what a wonderful game. I think it's maybe brought in a new appreciation for this wonderful city sim. However, in today's episode, I want to build a zoo, because we haven't really done a dedicated park build in an episode in Noveria yet. We did our amusement park on live stream over here. We did the central park build, but this is a lot of uniques tethered together. There is some zoo assets in here, but it's not a proper zoo, right? And then we also did the little riverfront biome over in Where the Heckia, using some of the zoo assets. But we've yet to have a dedicated park build, so that is exactly what we're going to do today. And there's a nice space for it within the kind of outer line downtown areas over here. And one of the biggest things I want to factor into today's build is the introduction of Monorail and having this actually flow around the park itself before it lands finally at the aquatic centre in the university. So I think we've got some nice ideas today. Let's build the downtown zoo, shall we? Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is start to introduce a little bit of an entrance road, alright? Some nice kind of run up into the zoo. And I think I'm feeling a large avenue with grass for this. We'll come up by 10 initially. Actually, let's maybe go up by a touch more. Go for 11 tiles. Then we want to align that monorail, of course, into the grid. Then we'll let this run at least a little bit parallel. Okay, take out that section now. Then we can hook in like that, and everyone's going to be happy. Bring our road up by another 10, so that'll be a total of 21 right now. Then we'll see what we can do to accommodate the entrance to the zoo. Now, I don't think these gates centralize, if I remember correctly. Let's have a little look. So we have a small zoo main gate. Yeah, that one doesn't. We have the main one, is it? Yeah, let's go for the larger one. And I think we can get away again with having this placed up against the side of the monorail. I don't think it's going to be something I'm totally adverse to, right? Not too bad. So I also want to include within this build the zoo, the one that comes with the After Dark DLC, as part of an actual Park Life zoo, just so we can actually use this one. Of course, it counts as a unique, so it's going to be drawing more tourists into the area as well. Now, I'm just thinking, this kind of looks like a main gate in itself, doesn't it? It kind of has that main gate vibe, especially with the zoo signage at the front and the little walk up here. There's also some parking spots outside as well. So why don't we see if we can maybe use this as our main gate instead, okay? So let's see what we think about this. Let's move just delete our main gate for the time being, and then we'll come into our zoo. Yeah, we could have this here, right? This could be something we get on board with, you know, to have this as the main entrance, and then we can maybe place in that regular zoo gate alongside it as well, and kind of merge the two assets together. Is the take-home point. But we will just need to ever so slightly adjust the monorail, which is fine. So again, just snapping into that grid. Okay, I think I'm fairly happy with that. Let's go ahead and get our park area painted out into the district that we're going to be playing with today. And we'll of course name this after one of our wonderful Patreon subscribers. Thank you so much for your support, Steve. You're a real secret blend of herbs and spices, mate. Do appreciate the relentless support from you guys. Okay, and then let's start now planning in some initial holding structures and patterns for our main zoo assets to start filling in this space, okay? Let's have a look at what we've got to play with first of all. So I think initially I would like the Sims to arrive into perhaps some kind of welcoming plaza, if you like. There's maybe pathway flowing through the middle of this thing. Okay, we'll have that there, and then we'll complement with some of the smaller assets, maybe one of the souvenir shops, I think this is, right? Yeah. There's cafes and restrooms. have the restrooms as we come in. Maybe zoo cafe here. Okay. And let's grab some of those zoo props, okay? And then it looks like, can we actually bring in a pathway directly behind these? Yes, we can. That's going to be fine then. Let's do that. And then can we rearrange this to face another angle? Just about. That's going to be fine. And then we can just use some of our smaller zoo props here to flesh out the back of those textures on the back. To create a little bit of a space where we can place in some benches. Maybe a little signpost here as well. I don't think it'd be totally out of the question just to include some smaller fence in here too. Not particularly zoo fence, but I'm thinking some farm fence might work quite nicely for what I'm after. And we'll just kind of border off this little beer garden, okay? And maybe a taller tree in here as well. Perhaps a invasive Palavan pine if we can find a space for it. Might be trying to force it in naturally, maybe on the corner here. Okay, and then perhaps a larger yew tree within this space here. And then we can possibly bring in some more assets alongside this side as well. You know, perhaps a couple more restrooms at either side of this walk-in junction. And again, there's more kind of details and props we can fill in here again, right? If we want to, there's some zoo signage. You don't have to stick just zoo assets. Of course, you can place in many of your kind of city park assets here, and get creative with mixing and matching different assets in. But I think just some kind of arrival plaza here is going to help the Sims kind of get the bearings once they arrive within the zoo. Okay, then we can start to place in the main zoo assets around this one itself. All right, so let's see what we've got to play with here. We'll start with that moose and reindeer enclosure. It's always a favorite, right? Now this is, I believe, one of the ones with the path network already around the edge of it, isn't it? Yes, it is indeed. And let's start mapping out exactly where this monorail is going to flow, because this has to be, I guess, kind of given priority, right? I think we're going to be happy with it there, just to kind of circle or square off around the back of the main building. And then if we want to have a monorail station that sits outside of our aquatic centre, I think we can get on board with that there. That's not going to be too bad. I'm wondering about the possibilities of curving around here. Yeah, distance is too short. If we snap into the grid though, this could help us out. Yeah, so there was a very small sweet spot there, which I don't think I'm totally adverse to. So I think we'll run with that for a little bit. Onto that road guideline, of course. Then we can snap in. I think everyone there is just about going to be happy. I think that's going to be a nice time for us all, isn't it? Nice to see the monorail coming and going alongside this main road. Then also flowing around a few of the park assets themselves as well. It's not just a case of I want to eye up this moose and reindeer enclosure. Just leveling it up with the monorail line. That should be okay. Then we can hook that in. This one out as well. Okay, and that's going to sit into the zoo quite nicely there as well. So then we have the birdhouse, one of the easy ones to place. Again, I'm very much a fan of just using these assets to now surround the monorail, because that's going to be the meat and potatoes of the build today, right? And then there's an antelope enclosure we can possibly get involved with here as well. So I'm now thinking, do I want the monorail line to actually flow a little bit further around the park before it makes its way over to the aquarium or the aquatic centre? And I think I do, and I'm going to have to let the game play here because we are quickly running out of money, as always, alright? So let's bring the idea into play now, and let's allow the monorail to flow this way. Apologies if you can hear the horse and cart outside. I do actually live in 1834. Not sure if the mic will pick that up, but that's what it is, I promise you. It's a horse and cart. Okay. So now with the monorail flowing through, we can maybe now start to position a few more of the assets around this monorail network. And every time that the pathway touches the monorail, we will move into zoo path with decoration. So that would mean that this pathway here now becomes without decoration. I think that'll be a nice way of using the two pathways a little bit differently, alright? So we'll see how we get on anyway. So we have birds, antelopes, and moose. Or mice is the plural, maybe. Obviously not. That's obviously not the plural. Okay. So again, this is the Bison Enclosure. So this is one of the more awkward ones with a path inbuilt into it. So again, I want to try and line this up to the best of my ability, just using shapes. And hopefully this will just allow us to connect in at a few different spots. It's pretty easy once you get the hang of it, okay? You can just start to kind of piece all of these together. So that's going to be nice there. I think I'm happy with that. Let's have a look what else is next. We also have the insect, amphibian, and reptile house. That's going to be fine. Let's see what we can do to accommodate this in, shall we? Now, I'm also wondering, what do we feel, or how do we feel about maybe bringing in another monorail stop? Because we have road network in. Now, I'm not bothered about this part making vast amounts of money. So for it to have a road connection, I don't think I'd be totally adverse to that. And having that road connection does allow us to continually include monorail, or another monorail station in here as well. And I think that would be a wonderful aesthetic, so I think that's what we're going to go for. Let's take out this monorail line here, and then let's grab that monorail line again. And then we can just repeat that 90-degree angle, and then everyone's going to be fine. So I'll do my best here to stop people walking directly into the park. I will try and get them to go into the gate, but it's not a massive kind of design important choice, right? Cool. So we'll leave the road network here, and why don't we include some more park road assets to help justify the inclusion of this road, very much like the park maintenance building, which I think is going to work really nicely up and against the highway here. Maybe if we come down into maybe even a dirt road or an industrial, we'll kind of see what works best. But if we position our park maintenance building up against the highway here, I think we can get away with that, right? That's going to be a little bit nicer, I hope, anyway. Those are the biodome and the vertical farms as well, but probably won't include these around here. You guys not getting heating? Why not? You should be. Oh, is that because you're a regular pipe? Yes, that is why. You okay? Yep, there we go. Wonderful. Okay, so let's now get the monorail flowing around the park area, because this is definitely the aesthetic that we're focusing on today. Let's go with the freeform tool though. I think probably to about there is going to be good. Let's get it on a nice straight run up. And then we'll snap into the grid. And then connect in with that. That's not acceptable. Why is it snapped like that? Let's try that one again. Let's bring this one down. Yeah, really you should just be snapping into the grid. I'm not sure why you're trying to do anything else. Let's see if we can redraw this in. Set how we want. There we go. That's what we're after, right? I think I'm fairly happy with that for the time being today. So we've got the monorail line hooked in now. That should start to give us that aesthetic that we're very keen on generating today. Let's continue to move through our enclosures here. So we also have flamingos available, again, which is another asset that has the paths already on there. Kind of annoying to use these ones, to be fair. I'm not a huge lover of them. Now, we did famously exclude flamingos from Palavan Zoo, so we will absolutely include them in Noveria's. If we go for about there, how is that going to line up for us? Is everyone going to be happy with that? I think I can accept that, right? That's going to be okay. And then again, we'll take this one. We won't. It's awful. Why is it doing that? The terrain sometimes behind the monorail stations is crazy. Cool. And that will allow us to trim that path network there. And there's possibilities for some more part life detailing within this space over here. Okay. But again, remembering that every time the path network comes near the monorail, it is actually a zoo path with decorations. That's going to be important for us to maintain today. We'll hopefully see a monorail. Yes, here it comes. Let's see what we think of it. We take this as the spice sample, right? We can hopefully see what we look like as the monorail comes through the park. Which looks really nice. I'm a huge fan of that. We did something very similar with trams in Palavan Zoo for those that followed that series. Well, I think the monorail definitely works better, right? There they go. They are stopping here, right? Yes, they're okay. Fantastic. Very nice. Let's carry on piecing together the zoo enclosures, shall we? So yeah, amphibian and reptile house. This is definitely one we want to maybe include on the approach to the zoo. Let's see where else we can maybe get this in. I think we might actually want to continue surrounding the monorail with these smaller, easier to place assets. So why don't we bring out another path connection through here? Possibilities for a small gate to sit here as well. Let's not forget about those. So I have the elephant enclosure. So there's some real big boys in here, isn't there? I think the rhino is another big one, as is the giraffe. And the elephants as well. Yeah, the elephants are a little bit of a chungus. And it's an asset that doesn't come with any path connections on it already. Which I think is something we can use to our advantage. To get them to cross the road, but still be within the park area, if that makes sense. We'll see what we can do with that idea. So if we were to place this facing this way, let's see how we're going to do this, alright? See if we can come onto our smallest elevation point. Then we're going to come up by 3 points. Again, which is going to give us the elevated zoo path alongside the monorail line, which is wonderful, right? Everyone's happy with that, I think. And I think we'll go in at that angle. That should be okay. It's going to fill this space nicely. It's going to decorate the approach along the arterial as well. Which again is always appreciated, right? Everyone's always happy with that. Then let's grab that elevated zoo path now to slowly meander back down to earth, and then provide that connection for the elephant enclosure as well. Yeah, okay. If we include any more assets around here, we can adjust this little bridge node, but I think I'm going to be happy with that. That's not going to be too bad. It's going to be a nice way of getting people to use the elevated zoo paths, which is basically the reason I play this game at this point, right? More elevated zoo paths, the better. Respect the elevated zoo path, everyone. Okay, so we now have giraffes as well. Let's see what we can do to accommodate our tall yellow friends. So it's not going to be as easy to accommodate in here without losing only these 2 path nodes, which is more than acceptable, I feel. So let's give him a little eye up. So again, we'll just eye this up with the monorail line to the best of our ability. And then we'll bring out some path nodes here. That does connect in there. Don't think I'm too bothered about that. There's very few people that actually walk along this arterial road anyway, so it's not a huge issue. We'll just see. Might as well decorate that away. See how it goes. Okay, so we have elephants and giraffes in now. And the remaining 3 is going to be the Monkey Palace. Now I do want to save some room for some car parking out here because, you know, when you arrive to kind of a main zoo, they always have car parking, right? So there's always some form of car parking at the front of these major attractions. So of course, we will do a little bit of Green Cities car parking over here. It might be nice if we can actually save in one more tile there. I think that's going to be ideal, isn't it? So then we can get some back-to-back car parking along the side. So again, of course, for those that don't know how to do this, you paint out a regular district. Pretty sure most of us know this trick by now. Now you give it the organic and local produce specialization from the Green Cities DLC. And then you want to alternately zone in 2x2 commercial zone-ins like this, which will eventually give you a repeatable pattern that looks something like this, which is always an appreciated aesthetic. And there's a lovely little 2x2 spot that's just made itself known. So we'll throw in a park asset, and then there's a little bit of space here. Maybe a couple of conifers to lie. Okay. And that's going to give us some parking directly outside of the zoo, which is always going to be appreciated to help generate a particular vibe, okay? I think I'm happy with that. So we factored in that space now. That's definitely something we wanted in, was the parking. So let's continue to place in our assets here. Again, the orientation of the zoo asset is always important as everything else. So I think I wouldn't mind this one backing onto the car park itself. So again, we'll allow the road or the path network to hold it initially. If we come out by 140. Yeah, we can sit with a 2-tile space between the road and the attraction. So as people arrive at the car park, they're looking at, you know, something just over the fencing, that there is a little bit of the zoo there. If that makes any sense. I hope it does. Then we have lions as available as the last. Again, I think these are another ones with their own path network, aren't they? Yes, they are. That's fine. Then that's going to work really nicely to just fit into this space here. Again, we'll align it to the best of our ability using the green frames. And then we can now let this come down here. Now, can we get in another side gate on this side of the zoo? It looks like we can. Be connecting into roads, so we'll trim that back there. It's probably going to make sense to actually curve this one as well. So we'll go for a road guideline. Okay. So I think that's all animals accounted for, right? We have everyone in right now. Everyone's going to be relatively happy. So the monorail stops are getting a small amount of usage. This one's attracting 33. And this one only 6. I imagine this will get significantly busier on the match days, so we'll see how that unfolds. Yeah, the only animal we can't really account for, or animals, is the sea life enclosure because we're not near the water here. Could maybe include it out here, some kind of waterfront decoration, but maybe along here somewhere. How would this actually look out here? Kind of a little strange. I think the keys are too tall for this here. Yeah, kind of getting some like Camino vibes here, right? With the water and the big kind of domes on the towers. Maybe they are breeding a clone army. But either way, that's all our main assets in. And that does feel like a good place for a detailing time-lapse. We have a whole bunch of work to do to make this kind of new module sit within this initial downtown frame, right? So it's nice and comfy and happy, and everyone's enjoying the facilities as best as possible. Of course, lots of zoo fencing to bring up and around the approach. Some nice repeated tree patterns here as well to mark this very obvious entrance into the zoo. Bring in some more kind of park life prop detailing, making these little picnic areas and information areas that are around the zoo. And I think what I might try and do is almost include like a little information point next to each enclosure. So it's almost like, you know, these are, you know, the bison captured from Palaven, you know, before the city was built, and just like a little bit of like a lore station next to the animals, you know, kind of shows you how old they are. you know, you kind of get that stuff at zoos, how long they hold their babies for, you know. You just got to get that kind of pointless information. So maybe we can do something with the zoo props to kind of bring that vibe in. And yeah, all over the little bits of detailing at love and jazz that we're all so fond of. So let's detail it up and we'll be right back. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, likes, comments and shares below really help out my channel. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. And if you'd like to help support the channel, there are links down to Instant Gaming and Patreon below, where you can pick up a variety of different things in return for your support. Really happy with this. A nice zoo design, and I love incorporating public transport into my parks. We did it in Palaven with a tram and this time with a monorail. Maybe next time we can do it with a train. You know, it's always kind of fun playing with different ideas like this. Quite a hard space, a bit of an awkward shape as well between the arterial and the highway, but a nice use of public transport. Lots of park life assets. Have also included nature reserve and amusement park assets in this zoo as well, and I'm really happy with the inclusion of the zoo unique, which is a much different colour from the rest of the zoo assets, so it really stands out and pops, almost as like that main building. So along with public transport, it can be nice to integrate some uniques into these park areas as well, especially if they already fit the theme, like with the unique zoo matching the park life zoo and vice versa. But lots of small rock gardens in the awkward spaces here is great for decorating the zoos, and do hang around for the rest of the outro tag. There was a ton of detailing that you guys wouldn't have seen. I am back now and expect regular content as always, and I do appreciate the patience again during my little break. Otherwise, I will shut up and I will leave it there. Well, thank you all so much for watching. As always, enjoy the rest of your day.